What's up guys, welcome back to the Detail Garage. Today I've got this blue Ferrari F355 and we're getting it ready for its winter prep. So to start off, we're going to wash the top. This car has been sitting outside for a little while. It's been neglected. As you can see, it's covered in water spots, dust. Underneath it there's a bunch of scratches. But to start off, we want to clean this top. Now this is a purely fabric top that has no insulation, so we don't want to saturate the surface because it could cause some seepage. What we're going to do is we're going to first blow all the dust that's on this off of it. Then we're going to use our convertible top cleaner to get as much of the staining and anything that's stuck inside the fabric. And then we'll go ahead and protect it all after it's dry. So let's get started by blowing off all this dust. But first I want to show you guys how much is actually stuck in the fibers. On camera it's hard to pick up, but in person this thing is actually really dirty. If you just look carefully, you know, it's just all kinds of dust and things have been sitting on top of the fabric. It's getting inside of there. And if you let this sit and it rains on this car or some kind of dew sits on it, it's going to create, you know, this moldy, nasty, muddy layer. So we're going to clean it and protect it. So let's get started. So by using the blower, I was able to get off as much of the dust and debris that was sitting on top of the fabric. Now I'm going to use the convertible top cleaner to get off the staining and also the embedded dirt. All you have to do is lightly spray it on the surface. As I mentioned, this is just purely a fabric top. There's no insulation in there. So I don't want to heavily saturate it and cause any kind of seepage. So all I'll do is I'll shake it up just a little bit, and just by applying a fine mist, I'll let that sit there, kind of saturate and emulsify anything that's stuck on the surface. And then by using one of these soft horsehair brushes, I'm just going to gently massage the cleaner into the top so I can get as much of the dirt and contaminants out of the surface. So normally when you clean a convertible top or any kind of fabric upholstery piece, you want it to foam up because that's going to help you get deep within there. But as I keep mentioning, this is purely just a piece of fabric on here. There's no protective coating, there's no insulation. So we're just being very gentle on it. But already you can see it's pulling off some dirt, some debris that's been still stuck in the fibers. We're going to clean off the rest of this, and then we're going to take it outside, wash the entire car, let this dry a little bit, and then we're going to go and protect it. Now this car, it's been sitting around, it's been neglected, it's covered in dust. We want to address that by getting a nice wash, and then we're going to go ahead and polish it out to get rid of all those minor scratches and swirls. Now earlier, we already cleaned the top because this is a fabric top that has no insulation. It's purely a fabric cover. And we don't want to have some kind of saturation on there where it can, you know, seep into the car. We've just cleaned it off, and we're going to protect it later on when it's fully dried. But to start off, we're going to do a 2-bucket wash. And I know you guys are probably thinking, great, another wash video. But we're going to go old school in this one. Instead of breaking out the pressure washer and a foam gun or a foam cannon, we're going to do it strictly with a hose and a bucket. Over here, we've got our blacklight soap. This is going to add a lot of foam and lubrication as we wash so we can minimize the chance of scratching it. But since this has that beautiful dark blue finish, we're going to go and enhance that gloss and give it more of a pop. Now with our traditional 2-bucket wash, we've got our dirt traps. One for our clean bucket, we'll insert it at an angle and press it all the way against the bottom. And as I mentioned, it's going to just settle and it's going to create a seal which prevents all that dirt from coming back up through the cones and getting in your soapy finish. And getting in your soapy bucket, soapy finish. And then we'll also insert a second dirt trap into this rinse bucket. This is just further minimizing the amount of dirt that runs back onto your vehicle. Press it all the way to the bottom, let it settle, and that's going to create a seal, so it's also preventing all that dirt from coming back up through the cones. So before we load up our buckets, I'm going to go ahead and rinse off the vehicle. Now rinsing it off is going to knock down as much of the loose dirt and debris to make it easier to wash, and it's also going to prevent scratching. Now using a regular garden hose with our Jetstream fire hose nozzle, it's going to be able to give us a range of pressures and streams that we can avoid getting the top saturated, because as I mentioned earlier, we've already cleaned the top, we're waiting for it to dry so we can protect it, but right now we're just going to focus on the glass and the painted surface areas. So now that the car's already rinsed off, let's load up our bucket using some blacklight soap. I'm only going to use about an ounce, which is about 3 capfuls or maybe about that much. And then the hose will help activate the suds, which is acting as lubrication as we wash. And like I mentioned before, we're going to do this old school where we're just going to use the buckets and a hose instead of using a pressure washer or a foam cannon. This is how you know, cars used to be washed back in the day. That's how we're doing it today. So using our Chanel wash mitt, we'll just go ahead and get some soap and foam on it. We'll start at the highest point, and since we're not doing the top, it'll be the glass, and we'll work down on the hood and the doors. So when you're washing, you want to work in straight lines or linear motions, so in case you do pick up something that can actually scratch the paint, it won't create a swirl. And as I mentioned in all my videos, if you scratch it with a swirl, it's a lot easier to notice and a lot harder to polish out. And as you wash, your mitt's going to start to pick up a lot of dirt and debris, things that can actually scratch the paint. That's what you have your second bucket for. Press it all the way down against the dirt trap at the bottom. That's helping release any dirt that's stuck in the noodles of your wash mitt, getting it stuck underneath the cones that we don't have it back in your fresh water. And then we'll take it outside of the bucket, wring it out on the ground. And this is to further prevent any kind of dirt and contaminants to coming back into your buckets, keeping it off your vehicle. Then we'll grab some more soap and keep on washing. So using the blacklight soap, it's added a lot of lubrication, so I was able to pick up all the loose dirt without scratching the surface. Now we're going to go and rinse it off. I know this is the way that a lot of you guys first started out washing your car. Your first car, this is probably how you washed it without a pressure washer and a foam gun. Probably bring back some memories of the first time you washed your Ferrari. Let's just go and rinse it off, get this thing dried. So after rinsing off the car, we've gotten all the loose dirt, all the soap off. Now it's time to dry it. It's not too warm outside. It's actually pretty cold. The sun's not out, so we're going to go and just do it out here. But to avoid water spots, I'm going to be using our Waffle Weave Towel. This picks up a lot of water without streaking or scratching. And since it has the silk banded edge, it's just extra insurance that we won't create new scratches or swirls. But starting from the highest point, I'll just drape it on the glass here. And then just pull off all the water for a nice streak-free shine. So as I mentioned before, we were going to clean the top, then clean the body, and now we're brought it back inside, and after drying off the car, we're going to go ahead and protect the top. So I'm using our convertible top protectant. All you have to do is spray this on the surface, let it dry, just a fine mist so it'll bond right to the surface. I taped off the top here. It's just because I don't want to get too much overspray. It's fine to get it on the paint and the body, but I just want to control as much of the overspray as I can. But you just gently mist it on. So So as you guys see, just a fine mist. You want to let this cure for about 15 to 20 minutes, and it's going to give you durable protection against water spots, harsh elements, things beating down on the top. Also against water building up on the surface. It'll give it a nice water repellent barrier. So if you guys want to learn more about these products, check it out on our website, chemicalguys.com. If you like this car or this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys next time right here in the Detail Garage.